Hey everybody, welcome back to I Told My Wife I'm Paying Bills. I'm Slim,
I'm black, back
and
again.
yep, and we're back with our guest, Mike from the last one. If you heard, Mike is from. If y'all remember, we had a for our Black History podcast, we had Chris on. Mike is Chris's brother. He's a fellow geek and a fellow gamer. Previously, we just went over our favorite villains, and he actually brought some that made me think a little bit deeper. And I want to check some of this stuff out now. I want to go into deeper thoughts about some of that. But this podcast today, we're actually doing our favorite heroes. And before we get into that, I want to say for these heroes choices, you would think that the heroes would be that easy, and it is. But if you start thinking too deep about it and you start picking apart, then you start going, and so it's not hard, but for me, it's like, okay, what qualities? What's the hero quality? You know, um, and then like for my list, I have a little bit of nostalgia in there too for one
Mhm,
of my characters.
Mhm.
So I didn't want to go cast too wide of a net either.
mm.
So we're gonna go ahead and jump into it in a minute, but you know, give me your thoughts. We can start with Mike. Give me your
Mhm.
thoughts on the qualities of a hero that you like.
So my qualities for a hero, they have to be somewhat down to earth, even though they're taking on a responsibility of saving people. They kind of have to be down to earth, and they have to be, strong-willed, mentally, physically strong. Um, More so, like when I say physically strong, I don't mean they have to like throw people through walls,
Hmm.
but they have to be able to defend, you know, who they're protecting, um, and mentally, being able to, put two and two together, use common sense, but also, be able to think outside of the box.
Hmm.
So, and those are a few things. I'll probably have more later on. I'll probably wake up in the middle of the night and think of some more, but.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Black, what's your hero qualities that drive you?
Well, as far as quality, as far as a hero, I like when a hero can relate to you.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not saying he has to be, go through the same thing you've ever went through or anything like that, as coming up. But when a superhero can relate to you,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
uh, or you relate to him,
Yeah.
that particular superhero, and I will have to say, piggybacking off of Mike, they have to be strong. They have to be intelligent.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
uh, I would say in combat, the best skills you can use is your brawn and your brains put together.
You're right, right.
And I like that. I think a superhero should have that.
All right. So, just so you know, you realize you just described Spider-Man for a lot of people, right?
Why does it have to be that guy, man?
Well,
I don't.
but you
You
know
know
what's
what? When I think of brawn and brains, I don't think of Spider Man
but
first place.
I'm gonna tell you though. Here's the funniest part about Spider-Man that I've talked to people about Spider-Man, and um, when Spider-Man was created, Stan Lee actually wanted to create a hero that a lot of kids can see themselves as.
Yeah, but that would answer to his popularity right there because a lot of kids do see themselves as Spider Man.
Yeah, and he's very strong.
Mm,
He's completely so intelligent.
yeah.
But the actual
Mhm.
Spider-Man, like he created his own web shooters himself. You
Mm,
know, uh his intelligence was enhanced through the spider bite,
mm,
and like I say, he's down to earth and stuff.
mm,
So my hero qualities, um, I like, and so I had a coworker who didn't like darker heroes. I like some darker heroes
mm,
for the most part, but on the light side of the heroes that I like, I like darker heroes and I like anti-heroes. That's why I think we need to do an anti-hero podcast because that guy right there, I want to talk about him. He's one of my favorite
oh
anti-heroes,
yeah.
which I'm pointing at a Black Adam figure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Oh yeah, shout out to Chris. That was excellent. I gotta actually take it out the box and set it up. I just gotta put some more shelves in here. Anyway, um, so my heroes, they have to be, they have to like kind of be down to earth, like I said. They have to show conflict. They have to be. I'm through. I don't want to say I'm through. I don't. I'm not a fan as I used to be of the heroes that can't make mistakes.
Mm,
So,
Yeah.
like Superman, I respect Superman, but I'm not a fan of Superman because it almost feels like he can't make mistakes. But by doing that, he's making mistakes.
exactly.
You know, um, and that's part of the reason why I like the story Kingdom Come so much,
Mm,
because in that it shows like Superman, he's trying to be so good, but his goodness is causing him to make mistakes.
mhm,
You know, and the some of the mistakes he makes in that story is just crazy. He gets all the criminals and put them in this one lockdown. It's just crazy. But anyway, so I like a hero that is able to make mistakes, and I like a hero that he doesn't have to be strong, but like y'all say, strong willed. And can take on the challenges. But is very intelligent as well. So, with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and start off. I believe we ended with Mike, so we're gonna go ahead and start off with Black. Black, go ahead and give us your first pick of hero.
all right. My first pick for hero, I will have to say, I will have to say that it is, and I gave it some thought, and I wasn't too sure about it, but I was like, okay, well, let me just go ahead and roll with them. Um, I will have to say is Blade.
Blade. Okay, all
Mm,
right. So,
Hmm.
and it's funny you chose Blade because I would put him into my anti-hero aspect, and that's why. When I said
mm.
anti-hero and I was thinking about it, I was like, yeah, he's definitely would be in that talk.
That's why I was on the shelf about him because I
Hmm.
wasn't sure whether to put him
Hmm.
as a hero or not. Because I mean, typically we know how he became, what he became.
Right.
His mom
Yeah.
was bitten or whatnot. But
Yeah.
Hmm.
I put him in my hero section as a guy who he actually felt sorry for himself.
Hmm.
There was a time, especially I'm more familiar with the movies than the comic books, but if you remember that, on the first one, uh, he's this is after he gets out of by train the subway. He dislocates his shoulder by pulling the saving the girl and
Hmm.
whatnot,
Yeah.
and they go back to the lair or whatnot, and she's trying to talk to him. He's like, "Well, you don't know me. I'm not human,"
Yeah.
you know. And she was like, she's trying to like calm him down and say, "Hey, look, you're not the monster you think you are," and all this other stuff. He's like he's ashamed of being who he is,
Mhm,
and but he actually uses that to stop what's going on with the vampire. So that hero aspect of who he is,
mhm,
that's why he's like, my number 5 hero. But I was on the fence with him being an anti-hero,
mhm.
you know?
Okay, alright. Mike, give me your first pick.
Oh man. So finding heroes were very it's very difficult,
Yes.
Mhm,
right? Because my list is anti-heroes, and I could go with the typical Batman, Bruce Wayne thing, which
Mhm.
I was going to put him on the list, but then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take him off, and I'm gonna go with somebody who is not so much, he's a hero, but he's kind of overlooked a little bit, and that's Nightwing.
nice.
Alright,
Um,
okay.
Nice, I like that. I love that pick. Good.
Before you go, Mike, I just
mhm.
wanna thank you for don't do Chris like that. I know you was thinking about it, but don't do him like that, man.
That's alright, I would've
Mhm.
agreed. I would've agreed with him, that's all.
Mhm.
Yes, yes, thanks for not naming Batman.
Uh-huh.
But go ahead. Give me Night.
So and I picked Nightwing because him being Dick Grayson being Robin for all those years, and then for him to for one branch out from under Batman and
Mhm,
being his sidekick, and to go and to have his own identity, his own way of justice, his own way of just being a different role from just the regular sidekick role, and he stood his own. You
Mhm.
know, he stood his own, fighting, with Crisis on Infinite Earth.
Yeah.
Mm,
Um,
Yeah.
he stood his own with 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 battling people from Krypton.
Mhm. Yeah.
He's not, a wealthy basher like Bruce Wayne. You know what I mean? Even though he's kind of got the perks a little bit,
Yeah.
but he doesn't have all of the technology and things of that nature. He's using his pure skill and wit
Mhm.
to to fight, and that's what I like, a lot when it comes to heroes. And he's one of those heroes, and he's almost an anti-hero.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like if you really think about it.
He's actually a very, very good mix of all the Robins. It's like when they created the other Robins, they took one of his specific skills and gave it to us. Like, here, take this Robin. Here,
mhm,
take this Robin. Here,
mhm.
Hmm.
take this.
Yep.
He's a really good mix, and he can definitely be a challenge for Batman himself. You
Mhm,
know, just because of his skill, he picked the things he picked up from Batman, but his trauma and Batman's trauma was handled differently. And I think
Hmm.
at the fact that he became Robin so young and
mhm,
he didn't train for many years as Batman, that's what kind of gave him that different click, like just something else clicked in him earlier to where he has I want to say he has a little bit more compassion than Batman,
mm,
but he knows the brutality that he can actually have too.
mm,
Like, he can
Hmm.
be really brutal, like, he can be like, seriously, like, Dick Grayson can be really brutal, you know?
mhm,
But
Hmm.
also, though, also this speaks to his skills in Justice. When we looked at Injustice, you saw, like, how he was training Robin,
mhm.
and every time Robin threw that baton in his head, he was able to catch it
Yep.
instantly, you know?
Mhm,
That just
Hmm.
speaks, volumes about his skill, I mean, of course, Batman would probably do something like that too, but what I'm saying, though, is he's a very skilled warrior, so
mhm,
that is definitely a good choice. Alright, so, skipping it with the Bat family, yes, I will say my first one is Batman.
mhm,
Again, I couldn't number these, but Batman is definitely on the top of my list.
mhm.
I've gone and gushed about Batman, so I'm gonna give a quick overview over this one.
Mhm,
We did a whole episode about Batman,
mhm,
but again, for me, the reason why I chose Batman is just for the simple fact of, he's a human fighting alongside gods, and he's keeping up with them, and he's holding his own. He's actually considered one of the best in the Justice League, if not the best.
Hmm.
Founding member, he funds the Justice League for a lot of the stuff that they do. I almost want to say I don't. I could. I want to remember. Uh, I remember seeing. I want to say it was a panel one time where, um, it might have been an actual comic or whatever, actually, it might have been Justice League Unlimited when Superman something happens and Superman was like, "Of course, we'll pay for it." Yes, that is it. It's when in Justice League Unlimited, and I think the Watchtower is taken over,
mhm.
and Superman was like, "We'll pay for it," or whatever, and then he looks over at Batman and he kind of just shakes his head like, "Yeah, we got this." You know? Do,
Hmm.
do you remember what I'm talking about, Mike?
Yep.
That comes to mind? Okay, yeah, so
Hmm.
but, he funds the Justice League, and he's looked upon as a threat, even though he's a regular human, he's looked upon as a threat by
Mhm,
these superhumans. He's such a threat that even when aliens attack, in one of the episodes of Justice League, um Lex Luthor, he's teaming up with the aliens, and then they was like, yeah, the other one, they basically let Batman go, and then they was just like, yeah, that other one was no threat to us. He was like, what are you talking about? He's the worst one,
Yeah.
and he ends up saving the whole Justice League. So, and that's also why I told Black about the Tower of Babel. I just gave him that novel to read, because
So
coming up, we're gonna actually talk about the Tower of Babel and talk about the difference between Tower of Babel's storyline and the actual Justice League Doom that it's based off.
mm.
So that's coming up. All right. So the next one, we got Mike. What's your next one?
all right. So my next one. This is a movie character who I love. I love it. the first three movies, especially the third one. You might know where I'm going with it. I mean, they've had four, and they just released another one like not too long ago. I don't know. I don't know when it's coming out, but Indiana Jones.
Oh,
All right. Yeah.
uh,
hmm
okay, okay.
In,
All
in,
right. Yeah.
in,
Yes.
Indiana Jones. He
Indiana
was
Jones.
he's the James Bond in the desert.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Or anywhere else
Like
he may be
So you're
looking for
mhm.
okay with
artifacts.
so you're okay with the Kingdom of Crystal Skulls? You actually
No,
okay with that? Oh,
no, I'm not.
no. No, you're
No,
not.
I
Okay. All right.
no, I can't stand that movie. That's why I said the first three were good.
Uh,
hmm the first three out, and if I had to rank them, um, the third one is my first, Temple of Doom, and then Raiders. Um,
Mhm.
hmm.
and I argue with people sometimes because they people don't realize that Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is a prequel.
Oh, I
It
didn't
is
know
a
that myself.
prequel.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Uh,
Yes, it is. It is the first movie. If you look at the dates in the movie, it is
mhm,
the first movie. Even though Raiders came out first,
mhm.
Temple of Doom takes place before Raider. And I argue with that. I was like, go back and look at the movie and watch it, and the dates of the movie start before Raiders. Raiders happens later on in his career, but Indiana Jones is probably like the dopest superhero because he was smooth. He got all the ladies. He's an
All the time.
archaeologist.
Yeah. He
You
was a
know,
teacher. He was a teacher that got
Yep.
all the ladies.
Mhm. And
He's
that
an
whip.
archaeologist,
And that whip.
professor. Yes.
Whip and the
Uh-huh.
pistol.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
whip and the
And,
pistol.
and Harrison Ford's comedic timing was just perfect.
Oh yeah,
Yep,
he was
definitely.
he was he was definitely like perfect with that. And I
hmm
love the genre too of it, you know. And I love the Last Crusade with
Was that
And
with
Sean
yeah, with
Connery.
Sean Connery? Yeah.
Sean Connery. That was a
hmm
great duo. I
Yeah,
really like that.
I like that one. That was one of my favorites.
Does that follow
hmm
though? I'm trying to think. Does that follow my what was it? My 213. It does not actually.
Mm.
hmm
I don't think so because like I don't like. See, it's hard for me to pick which one's best out of those three because I love them all. I love
Mm.
all three of
hmm
those. So that probably is one that breaks my 213 theory. So anyway,
Yeah.
um, very good choice. Very good
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah, that's an awesome
Honestly,
choice. I didn't even think of
I
that.
wouldn't even thought of
But he
Indiana Jones either.
but
But I
he's an
love the
icon.
hmm
movies. I
He's
love those
yeah, he's an
movies.
icon, man.
hmm And actually, so many different other movies came out, because of that genre.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah. All right, Black. Give me your next one.
All right, my next one, believe it or not, is not a he, it's a she.
Okay. All right. I
Um,
have a female on my list too, but go ahead.
um,
hmm
and that is 11.
Ooh,
Yes.
nice, nice pick. Oh
hmm
my gosh, good. Okay. All right. Go ahead and give me your thoughts
hmm
behind
I don't think she needs any type of introductory. I'm
it.
pretty sure everybody knows who 11 is.
Yes.
Stranger
hmm
Things.
Yes.
11 appealed to me when she first, I mean, the first season, obviously.
Mhm.
She comes out, and they're doing experiments with her, and you try to figure out what are they doing with this child.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you see she gets tired of getting put in that room,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden she's thrown into the room, and then next thing you know, you see a body fly out of the room, and then the guy she cracks another guy's neck,
Mhm.
and she's bleeding out her nose, and who she calls Papa is just looking in awe, like,
Yeah.
wow, that
hmm
and that just the brutality of it, and you're wondering, like, okay, well, who's she gonna be? You continue watching, and she becomes this big superhero.
Mhm.
That's what she
hmm
is to the other kids, a
Yeah.
big superhero.
Yeah.
And
Are you current on the season? You're
oh
current?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
definitely,
Nice.
definitely.
Okay. All right. All right.
Definitely, definitely. I'm the one to put my wife on the Stranger Things. She loves it.
I've
Typically,
been.
she doesn't like anything that I
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
like.
trying. I'm
hmm
trying to get my wife to watch it. I think her friend told her about it, so she'll probably be watching it soon. I don't know. I have to ask her. I can't remember if she started it or not
Yeah,
though. But yeah, it was so definitely so good. That is a
Yeah.
really good choice. I wouldn't even thought about 11.
yeah.
I honestly would not have thought about 11.
Mhm.
And it's so funny because that show has spawned so many different characters
Mhm.
that people wear to Comic Cons and Halloween and things like that.
Mhm.
Um, and it even had that one Halloween decoration of Max in the air. You
Oh
remember
my
that
god,
one?
yeah, you talk about the last season
Yes,
when
yes.
Yes.
she's dealing
Like
with
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 Vecna.
Vecna. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that was such
That
a I mean that Halloween decoration that it was I forgot where it was, but it was so messed up because they had crappy neighbors. Their neighbors didn't like the fact so many people were stopping by to come see the decoration, so
mm,
they made it take it down.
you gotta be kidding me.
Mhm.
Yeah, man.
People could be such,
Yeah, I know. It sucks. It really sucks,
party poopers. Imma just use that because 'cause I'm trying to
man.
be, you know,
Yeah.
civil.
Yeah. So Mike, what's your next one?
All right, so my next one is it kind of a toss up because once again they're anti-hero, but at the same time they're a hero, and it's one that I'm proud that I was able to put my wife onto,
Mhm.
and that's Frank Castle, aka the Punisher.
Ah,
The
nice.
Punisher, yeah,
hmm
Okay, okay. You know what?
You know, and
I hate to say this. I gotta finish that series. I haven't finished the Marvel series
mm,
yet. But
yes,
go ahead.
and the reason I really put him as more so a hero than anything is because he, besides his family getting killed, the kingpin, putting his little 2 cents into all that. But I think because of the fact that he mainly fights for the little people,
Mhm.
mm,
and he's not looking for any type of recognition whatsoever. He just wants to, right or wrong. That's what I like the most from him. I mean, technically, he does go about it brutally,
Mhm. Mhm.
and he will he will go by any means whatsoever to right that wrong. But that's who I like, Frank Castle,
Nice.
the
mm.
Punisher.
Yeah. He's definitely yeah. And so the was it 90s
Mhm.
movie? I think it was. What do you think about that?
Well, which one? So we can go with Dolph Lundgren, um, which you know, props to him, but that movie was horrible.
Uh-huh.
And then there was the and then there were the other movies. I think more so the TV show really showed, really gave us the comic book Punisher.
Okay. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
The
well,
TV
John
show,
Barathol.
well, one
yes, he really did that.
well, one thought about the Punisher, how I knew about him, and believe it or not, it wasn't from the movie.
That's from Blade.
It wasn't from the comic books either.
Uh.
I don't know if you guys remember Ill and Out Scratch back in the '90s.
Yes,
If you remember,
yes.
Ill wore
He
the
had
Punisher
a,
jacket in the "Come Around My Way" video, and I
mhm.
said, "What jacket is he wearing? That jacket is dope." And then I looked up the symbol. I was like, "Well, that's from the Punisher."
uh.
I
Mhm.
said, "So, well, the Punisher is, a comic book character."
Uh.
And the jacket was so dope. That's how I found out about the Punisher
Oh,
because he
nice.
wore that jacket in that
Yeah.
video.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, Ill and Out Scratch.
Yeah,
Yes.
Ill and Out Scratch.
Okay, all right. I think I skipped myself, so I'm gonna go through two because I did actually skip myself here. So, my next one is Green Lantern, but I chose
Okay.
John Stewart's Green Lantern.
Uh-huh.
The
Yes.
reason being is, Hal Jordan is considered the greatest Green Lantern,
Mhm,
and everything, but the John Stewart Green Lantern is, he's African American. I mean,
mhm.
but that's not my only reason for choosing him.
Right.
But his Marine training has made him such a great Green Lantern. I mean, he's a military man. When
hmm
you see him in the comics, he's stoic,
Mhm.
and like every time he's standing, he's almost like he's standing at attention all the time, just standing up there. Um, and he commands attention.
Mm,
He's the one that pretty much almost always has a plan.
mhm,
You know, and
Yeah.
and 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 he's like almost like the when he becomes a replacement for Hal Jordan at the time, he becomes almost like a backbone, you
mm.
know. And actually, really, he wasn't
hmm
more of a replacement. I mean, because it just depends if you go with Justice League Unlimited, or comic book. So, but in Justice League Unlimited, though, he was like Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. He was like the backbone of the Justice League for them. You know, and it was so funny to see his relationship with Shaira and Vixen at the time too. But it was actually so cool just to see such a good character. Like, he was good, but he still had that small line of darkness. Not like, not dark like Batman dark, of course, but he had a small line of darkness to where, his morality, he can still be moral, but if he needed to make a dark choice, didn't have too much of a quarrel about it. He could actually make that dark choice if it was needed, and that comes from his military service because being in the military, you do have to make a dark choice sometimes.
Mm,
Especially like
Mhm.
during war and things like that. So
right.
I love that character. I love the way he's written and the way he's drawn and everything like that. And that's another costume that I really would love to try to make is a John Stewart millionaire costume.
Mhm.
So my next choice is actually goes along the lines with John Stewart, and this is my nostalgic choice here. Um, and it's Static Shock.
Mm,
So uh Static, the reason why I love Static, and actually I got 2 Statics now.
uh,
Chris got me another,
oh yeah.
Static thing right there.
Oh yeah, yeah. I see
So,
it. See it.
yeah, so I got 2 Statics now. Um, Static Shock I've said this before, it's a TV show that I used to watch with my daughter. Um, I really need to get into more of a comic.
Mm,
I really haven't, but I think it's maybe because of the nostalgia with my daughter and watching the shows, why I really don't wanna get too much into the comic,
mm,
but I really do
Yeah.
need to get into that. But
Mhm.
they played, he's played a very good character as a teenager, but then even as an adult in Justice League Unlimited, the couple episodes he was on, he actually played it very good as well. So that was really cool, and just the way watching Virgil actually navigate being a teenager and trying to like keep the secret from his dad and his sister and
mm,
his friends, and then finally he broke and was able to tell his friend, and
mm,
but then again his friend ended up becoming a superhero too, so that was cool. Just seeing that and seeing him, a young black kid, and then at one point, even in the show, he actually had to deal with racism. So
yeah.
you know that was like such a really like warm, heartwarming show for me. And
Mm,
this
Mhm.
is a superhero that isn't dark to me. He
mm,
doesn't have darkness, but he has that teenager struggles.
mm,
He's got to deal with all that. So that is such a good show that I do think I do want to start watching again. But I just started watching Batman the Animated Series again, so
mm,
I'm gonna finish that first before I pick another series to watch. So, um, I'm really a fan of Static, so I really probably do need to go ahead and start reading the comics. I really do. But
Yeah.
I do really like it. Oh, so you read a couple of those comics, Mike?
Mhm. Yeah, I
Okay,
got a few.
okay. So in the
Yeah.
comics, is he similar to like how did they do him justice compared to the actual show?
Well, they kind of one and the same. He's a teenager, so
Hmm.
you know, they kind of stayed in that teenage realm, but it does have some dark issues.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm. Yeah, I
but
know. I've read some of it, and they actually deal with like teen pregnancy at one point, and then
mm.
one of some of those issues
mhm.
and things too.
Oh,
So
those some real issues.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So that's why I'm just like, you know, do I want to risk losing that nostalgia just to read the issues, or do I want to stick with the nostalgia? I don't know yet. So
mm.
anyway, all right, Black, give me your next one.
Okay, so when I made my villains and heroes top fives, a lot of them contrast with one another. So my number three is actually the hero versus Doctor Man, and that's Cooper. You
Ha
know,
There you go. There you go.
yeah.
There you go. Yep.
So Cooper is he's chosen to fly the last missions. He wasn't part of the Lazarus Project, but he was chosen to fly the Endurance.
Hmm.
Uh, take the Endurance through a wormhole and try to figure out whose planets was habitable and whose was not, based off the signals they were receiving.
Mhm.
But Cooper's one hell of a pilot.
Yeah.
He's very real to me because there's a part in the movie where he says he's on the porch, he's talking to, you know, his stepdad, uh, and I'm sorry, his father-in-law or whatnot, and he says, it's like we've forgotten who we are, Tom. Uh, we're pioneers, not caretakers.
Mhm.
It he made an analogy. He said that we used to look up to the stars and wonder about our place in the universe.
Mhm.
Now all we do is look down and worry about our place in the dirt.
Mhm.
You know, so he was born to fly, spaceships and stuff like that because he was a really good pilot, but he never could because all that stuff went down. Or so he thought they were running out of food. The world was running out of food, so it felt like he didn't have a purpose. He became a farmer because he had to, not because he wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Hmm.
he ends up being, he's my number three because he ends up succeeding,
Mhm.
in the movie. Goes through the Tazerac, was able to signal his daughter through that whole part in that
That
movie is
scene,
yeah,
man.
that
Oh
scene
my
is just
gosh.
Hmm.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Don't let me
How
go, Murph.
yeah, yeah, don't
Oh my
now
gosh.
can you imagine why? Because he's actually looking at it. He at the time it's crazy because he's like he can't understand why the books are falling off the shelves. He's like, I don't think your books is talking to you.
Mhm.
He's telling his daughter, like, it's not very scientific, Murph. A
Yeah.
ghost, really,
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
now once he's in Tazerac and he knows I'm the one that's knocking down the books, that's
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
and he said, "Don't let me go, Murph. Don't let me go."
And his daughter ended up figuring it out
Yeah,
later on. That was
yeah.
so dope.
It
That was
was
so
it,
dope.
it was crazy, but no, that's why he's my number three because they found Edmonds, and by the time they went and got back him,
Mhm.
by the time he met back with Murph was already old on her deathbed, his daughter. That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
Hmm.
that was sick. The
Yep.
time shift in the universe, like on when he went on Miller's planet, and it was
Mhm.
like 7 years on Earth per hour on
Yeah.
that planet.
Right, right. That was wild. That was so
Hmm.
wild. That was yeah, man.
Yeah,
That
so
movie, that movie's so good, and I that comes on sometimes. Like if I'm working remotely, sometimes I will, and
mhm,
it's on like on TNT or
yeah,
whatever. I'll definitely make sure I turn to that for
yeah,
real because
yeah.
it is a good one that I've seen multiple times. All right, Mike, give me your next one.
All right. So my next one, we all love this one. All right.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a Star Wars fan, if you watch any of the Disney Plus shows,
Mm-hmm.
and this one is coming up real soon, and that is Ahsoka Tano.
Ha!
Ahsoka
Mm,
Tano.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So
I I love her.
so it's
Hmm.
so funny because she
Oh,
was
that's who she is.
she's
Okay.
next on my list, and I'm holding up
Hmm.
another Lego figure. So
Oh, she was on your list?
yeah, she's on my list.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah, she was literally right after Static Shock. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Ahsoka Tano,
yeah. But go
and
ahead, go ahead and
that's
tell me your reasons, and then I'll roll right into my reasons.
all right. So my reasons for her is just for the mere fact that she went heads up the with with Anakin and Darth Vader, both at the same
Yes,
time,
Mm,
yes.
and she held her own.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably one of the most powerful Siths in the Star Wars canon,
Mm-hmm.
and she held her own when she was just a Padawan.
Right.
mm.
Yes. Yeah.
When she had just like after
Actually,
when in the Clone Wars.
well, I was gonna say by the time that she actually went up against him as Darth Vader, she was no longer a
Hmm.
Padawan. She was in the Jedi and
Yeah,
everything. So she was just, and I don't even know what to call her. So go
yeah,
ahead.
and that's the difficult part because I really want to know what happened after all that because she had a disagreement with the council, the
Hmm.
Jedi Council.
Right.
So and she walked away from it. And
Hmm.
so, but I can't wait to see this show
Yeah. Me too.
because
Me
I,
too.
because I was on the edge of my seat when I saw her in the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like, I
So
mean, like
yeah.
she was
So
just dope.
so she was so dope for me. I like I said, I was gonna choose her as my next one, and
Hmm.
and I actually bought her audiobook, the
Hmm.
audiobook that's based off of her. and it just talks about one of the things that happened when she was trying to hide out from she stopped being a Jedi, and this is after she actually left her lightsabers on the planet with the ship that she escaped.
Mhm.
She actually made some more lightsabers, and she actually saved a colony, you know, but she, at kind of a little bit of a cost to her. She ended up kind of the Inquisitors ended up finding her and things like
Mm,
that. So, um, but yeah, I chose her because of pretty much the same reason. She's
Mhm.
such a strong character. When you see her start off in the Clone Wars movie, you just see this kind of like a little chick. That's basically you're just
Mhm.
like why is this chick part of the Star Wars universe now? And he's like joking. She has no respect for her master, and she calls him Fly Guy or whatever. And yeah, and he calls her Snips, and but you see her actually grow through the series,
mm,
and you see her
Mhm.
become such a skilled duelist.
mm,
And then when you see her actually duel in The Mandalorian, you see like where her skills are at now.
mm,
So, you know, and it's crazy because I was one of those people who were on the fence about who should play her
mm,
because I didn't realize until later, until I started rooting for Rosario Dawson to play her because I knew Rosario Dawson wanted to play the character, but then I saw in my mind, I was like, yeah, she would be a great Ahsoka.
mm,
Ahsoka.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't see until afterwards that Ashley Eccleston or Eckstein, Ashley,
Mhm.
the voice actress for her, I didn't realize that she probably would have actually played a good live action version of good because I didn't realize that she acts like that. I thought she was only a voice actor, but she's
mm,
actually an actress too.
mhm,
So um, she's actually really good too. And for me, it would have been a toss up for either one of them. So, but it would have been great to see the voice actress as Ahsoka Tano as well, in the
Yeah.
series because it's kind of like the same thing as Bo-Katan, the same voice as Bo-Katan. We playing it the same thing as Boba Fett, Tamora Morrison.
mm,
Mhm.
He's actually playing Boba Fett, and I mean, he was actually the voice in the other things too. But
mm,
you know, so it would have been nice to see that, but also Rosario Dawson plays such a good character, and she just like her dual skills, man. I mean, just it was so good. So
mm.
yeah, I can't wait for the show either. And we only have what 2 months left, three
Yep.
months. We
Yep.
only have a couple
Mhm.
more months left, so I can't wait to see it. All right. So being that we went ahead and said my next one, Black, what you got next?
Uh, okay, so I will have to go. Right now. I'm at my number two. Um, and so my number two is Wolverine.
Wolverine.
Yeah,
Nice. Okay. All
yeah.
right.
You know,
So yeah, we
Mhm.
and
we can we
he
pretty much kind of know, but go ahead and
yeah,
go into your little about
and
Wolverine.
he's kind of on the fence as as sort of like an anti-hero too.
Hmm.
Because we all know where Wolverine came from. I mean, he didn't care. I mean,
Yeah.
before he met Professor X, he was just offing guys. Anybody who messed with him, he'll off. you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I Wolverine just because I will have to say that his attributes, his healing factor, the fact that he has an adamantium skeleton,
Hmm.
pretty much
Mhm.
an indestructible mutant. You
Hmm.
know, um, but he later realizes, by joining the X-Men, how much more important he could be to the cause, to the
Hmm.
X-Men cause. You know, and he's working with Professor X and the rest of the X-Men. I just I like his transition,
Yeah.
what he became, how he was like, how they used to call him a wild animal or whatnot, and then
Yeah.
to now he's part of not just an X Man, one of the key X Men.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's he's my number two. You know,
Nice.
got
Nice.
love for Wolverine, grew up loving
Ah,
him.
yes, yes, yeah. I'm sure you're in a great company with a lot of people because I
Yeah.
remember when we were growing up in our like our around our time. I want to say it was probably high school because of the '90s cartoon.
Mhm.
Everyone loved Wolverine,
Mm.
and then the claws. I gave you the claws, right? That
Oh
was
yeah,
it. Yeah,
oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah,
I got the
yeah,
claws. You gave me
yeah.
those.
Okay. I
Yeah.
remember having one. I was like, wait, I
Mhm.
remember giving you some of my like collectibles, and I was
Mhm.
like, I think I gave him a claw. But
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah, if I didn't, I would have gone and found it and give it to you anyway.
The
Yeah,
adamantium
but those,
claws.
yeah, I
Oh my god.
remember everyone wanted to be like, like everybody wanted to choose Wolverine. And matter of
Yeah.
fact, even in the video game, so many
Yeah.
people wanted Wolverine because he
Yeah.
had that little wild, like,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
the
What
claws
what do
and
you call
stuff.
it? The Berserker
Berserker,
Barrage.
yeah,
Berserker
Berserker
Barrage.
Barrage,
Yeah.
yeah. So I remember that. All right, Mike, give us your next
All right. So we all know this one.
one. Mm-hmm.
So this is my this is probably my last one because I could not think of any other heroes that I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, he he set off this entire series, and he's 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 a hero. He's a leader. Like he's kind of like the epitome of all of everything that you would want in a leader, and that's Marcus Phoenix.
Oh
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Hmm.
Okay, you
From
hit us right where it hurts. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Go
hmm
ahead. You got
from
us.
Gears of War.
Here's a
Yes.
war.
He's the leader. He's soldier, the coalition of order governments.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one who basically was sent in with his team to destroy the horde.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the second and the third games, the conflict between the herd and all of the Lambian.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really love his story because when he lost people, you felt it.
Yes.
Like you felt it. Like the
Hmm.
story was just like he brought you in, and you know that he was going to lay his life down for his brothers.
Oh
And
yeah.
that is why I'm
It's just-
trying to get Black to finish number 3 because man, you
oh,
feel it. You feel
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
like it.
don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Hey man,
We gonna
Mark
finish it. We gonna finish it.
Marcus
Uh-huh.
Phoenix is a beast. I ain't gonna lie
Yes.
to you.
Yes. Yes. He's definitely
Marcus
that.
Phoenix.
That's
Yeah.
such a good choice. And that is a costume that I have been waiting to see somebody do Gears of War. If I can find like a group that would go to Comic Con with me, that's a
Hmm.
ensemble costume I would do.
Mhm.
I would see if we can all be cogs because that
Yeah.
would be a good like a good way to actually do an ensemble. Yeah,
Hmm.
but man, that was a really good choice. I did not see that one
Hmm.
coming.
Yep.
All
Mm.
right,
Marcus Phoenix.
Marcus Phoenix.
yeah,
Yeah.
all right. So my next choice, I got two more, and this one I just added only because I don't want to give him honorable mention. I want to give him like the honor deserves. And for me, again, it's a little bit more to the nostalgia, like the whole father daughter aspect of it
Mhm.
is
Hmm.
actually not just that because of the character, but I want to get more into his comics. Is Black Lightning.
Mm.
That
Okay.
show was so dope to me, and I was so excited because I had already kind of liked the character from different things I had seen, different TV shows and stuff. And like they had like a little skit in between another show. I think it was either on Saturday morning or somewhere. I can't remember where, but I was a little skit in between, and it was about Black Lightning with his two daughters.
Mm.
And then when I saw the actual show, the live action, it was to me it was played so well. I think if he was on a different channel, given a better chance, it would have been a way better show than what it was.
Mm.
But for me, the show was great how it was, and I love that show. I will always love that show. And I was so happy to meet the characters. I'm still a little upset, like not that upset, but I mean I'm still upset, like meeting Thunder, Nafissa Williams. I was like, okay, well, it is what it is. I'm still a little upset about that, now that I found out that, okay, she's kinda like that with people. I'm like, "Okay, well,
Mm.
I just thought she was hungry." But, I would have loved to meet Cress Williams, though. Cress
Mm.
Williams, and I
Hmm.
mean, because I remember him from Living Single,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
there was something else I remember seeing him. I can't remember what, but then when I saw that he was going to be Black Lightning, I was like, oh man, great choice. He did that, played that so perfectly as a father. Just trying to navigate being a father with girls, teen girls,
Mhm.
grown girls. And right now it's hard being a father trying to navigate with my daughter. Being in her 20s, it's like crazy. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Hmm.
their minds are everywhere.
yeah.
They want to
Oh
try
man.
so
Yeah.
much,
Oh yeah,
man.
yeah. You got teenagers too. I
Oh yeah.
forgot. Yeah. So
Mm.
all right. Black, give me your last one, then I'll go to my last one.
All right. Well, like I said, mine's contrast off each other. So Guts is my number one.
Okay,
You
all
know,
right.
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Guts
Mhm,
is my number one, and I'm gonna say a speech that when I first heard about Berserk was through the 90 or it was a anime that was made in the 90s. But I actually saw it in the early 2000s. I'm gonna say a speech that he said while he was talking to Costco on the Hill, uh, and what inspired him to be my number one. Now he's talking about his importance and why he feels like it's time for him to leave the Band of the Hawk because in order to be Griffith's friend, he feels like he has to leave and make something for himself.
mhm,
So he says to Costco, he says, I'm trying to remember. I have memorized this, so I'm gonna go quick. He was like, he was like, I don't believe the way I live my life is the way anyone should live their life. You know, when I first took my first life, I was but a child, just
mhm.
swinging sword, not knowing what he's doing. Then it became something more, and he's starting to realize what his dream is, and that's being the best warrior.
Mm,
His resolve, you know, uh, the Skull Knight used to call him the struggler.
mhm,
And
Hmm.
if you remember me telling you, Chris, in our last podcast when we talked about Berserk, is that he had gone through so much. The mercenary that raised him tried to kill him,
mhm.
along with the company.
Yeah.
You know, Griffith had ended up beating him
Mhm,
twice and ended up joining the Band of the Hawk. He became strong, and then he was betrayed and branded by Griffith. So he just went through so much. To me, he's the top in my opinion. There's no one that can top him.
all right.
You know.
Hmm.
That's dope. That is so dope. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I should have saw that one coming too. I definitely should have saw that one coming because I remember that episode, and yeah,
Mm,
you were definitely passionate about
mm,
that episode.
mm.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
all right. So I'm gonna finish up with mine. I don't know if y'all have any honorable mentions. We can go over that, but if not, we can go ahead and wrap it up after this. But mine is Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Okay.
Okay.
Hold
Now,
on.
hold
Hold on.
on, hold
Which
on.
which which Marvel?
And
Which Captain
thank you
Marvel?
for asking me that, Mike. Thank you for asking me
I
that.
was wondering too, to
All
be
right.
honest with you.
So most people know him now as Shazam,
Okay.
and I continue to call him Captain Marvel because that's what I was
Hmm.
introduced to him as. That's what I grew up on as. And when you read in the comics, he is Captain Marvel in the comics still. You don't call him Shazam. Well, I don't know in the current comics. I'm sorry. I said I am behind in my comics, so I am sorry if I'm incorrect, saying incorrect. But one of my favorite comics is Kingdom Come,
Mm,
and that is
Hmm.
basically he is a key figure in Kingdom Come because he walks the two lines. He walks the line of regular human, but he also
mm,
walks the line of the gods, you know, because he has the strength and the powers of all these gods. And, you know, I've started from this series in the 80s, cartoon, not the live action. The live action, I don't remember it at all. I know I watched it. I don't remember it though,
mm,
but I do remember the cartoon vaguely. And the only thing I remember, it's so funny. The one thing I remember about the cartoon is singing with my brother or I don't know. I don't think my sister watched it with my brother. We were singing the song "Bring Back My Buddy to Me" because the Mr. The talking tiger, Mr. Tawny talking tiger.
Yeah.
mm.
Um, he was actually singing it on a cliff on the ocean in one of end of the episode, and then I just remember constantly singing that song with my brother. So I think that was funny. But that like kind of gives me a little bit of nostalgia. But then again, too, as I got older and I read more into his stories, and then when they put him into more, like when they put him into animation, you saw that. So even in the episode of Justice League, they have him fighting Superman
Mm.
because Lex
Hmm.
Luthor, which one of my favorite villains, Lex Luthor actually tricks Superman into thinking that he's about to blow up a little mini apartment city type deal. It's like
Mm,
like two blocks, maybe 3 blocks, or just as a building or something like that. I can't remember for sure,
mm,
but Lex Luthor has a sustainable, like, self-sustainable power source underneath the building, but to Superman, it looks like a bomb.
mm,
And so Superman is being paranoid, so he tries to clear it out and tries to fight. And Lex Luthor is he has Captain Marvel actually like as one of the a spokesperson.
Mm,
He's using him as a spokesperson, but he's doing that on purpose so he can actually like kind of get in and kind of put a little like bug in between the Justice League.
mm,
And he has this fight with Superman, and you actually see him using his magic to take Superman out. He keeps saying Shazam at one point. He grabs Superman, he keeps saying Shazam, so the lightning that comes down can keep shocking Superman. He actually does that in Kingdom Come, I believe, too.
mm,
So just off of the little things like that, he's a child during these both of these fights. Well, no, and in Kingdom Come, he's an adult when this happens, and actually, he's an adult who's actually been he has his mind altered, but um he's the fact that he's able to go toe to toe with Superman.
mm,
They created him to basically go toe to toe with Superman. I love that.
Hmm.
And again, I respect Superman highly because he is the one hero that most people go to. Batman respects Superman
mm,
because Batman knows that Superman can actually do so much more than he does, but he holds back every day.
mm,
So that's why Batman respects Superman. Um, I really respect Captain Marvel and what he does, and to watch him in animated and to actually see like the childlike aspect of him when he's an adult, like he's actually still got the mind of a child in an adult's body, and then to actually see it on the movies. The movies weren't all that great, but I love them
mm,
because
Hmm.
they have the spirit of Captain Marvel,
mm.
and I hate
Yeah.
the fact that you can't really say Captain Marvel because of licensing.
Mm.
That really bothers me so badly.
Yeah, that sucks, man. I never really liked that anyways
Yeah,
because of licensing.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah. I mean, because Marvel ended up getting it later when just because of a licensing expires with Fawcett Comics.
mm.
So it was
Mm.
yeah, it's kind of messed up. But anyway, so that was my choices. Does anyone have any honorable mentions at the moment?
Um, I mean,
Mm,
I don't really have an honorable mention, but I would just probably just bring up like the Avatar series,
Hmm.
like the cartoon,
Yes, yes,
cartoon.
yes, yeah.
not the
Such a
movie.
good
So
series,
Yeah.
and
Aang, Aang is probably that, and also the Legend of Korra.
yeah.
Um,
Mm,
Okay,
like
but you
those,
can't mention that without saying Toph because Toph
sure,
is amazing in that series
yeah.
because she created metal bending. She's a
mm.
creator of
Hmm.
metal bending, and I love that. I love that she's the greatest earthbender ever because yes, she created that.
Well, I
And
got one.
Yeah.
mhm.
I got one honorable mention. And that is Commander Shepard.
Oh,
Ah,
yeah, okay, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I know from
Uh,
that from Mass Effect. So
Mass
Mass
Effect.
yes,
Effect.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Hmm.
I'll say I haven't played it, but I've heard good things. So eventually I may get on it. I don't know yet, though, but we'll see.
Yeah, you gotta be a planet sci-fi space guy to really
Hmm.
enjoy Mass Effect.
Yeah,
That's why
but I
that's why I
Hmm.
am.
showed you the controller. I showed you today because I'm a
Yeah.
I'm a space guy. I love space. I love outer space.
Yeah, somebody else that people would be probably wondering, like, but then again, too, I mean, we could put these in honorable mentions, but I don't know. I would have to go back and talk about this later, but we're almost out of time. Luke Skywalker and Harry Potter. I want to put them in
Yeah.
honorable mentions.
Mm,
I mean, one, they're almost everybody's go to,
mm,
but then some of the flaws with these characters kind of put me off of not putting them on my list. But
right.
definitely they get honorable mentions because they are some of the greatest heroes in history. You
Mm,
know, so but anyway, again, like I said, we're running out of time, so we're gonna go ahead and cut it here. But if you got any thoughts, we definitely want to hear from you. We want to hear what your heroes that you like. You can reach us, Told My Wife Podcast on Instagram. For our email, it's toldmywife@gmail.com. You
mm.
can email us, inbox us. You can comment on our post. Just let us know what you're thinking. You can actually find us on Facebook too. I told my wife I'm paying bills. For now, we're gonna go ahead and sign off. And again, we'll hopefully have a anti-hero podcast coming up. So we'll
Mm.
see. Got some good things coming up. But until then, I'm Slim
I'm black.
and our guest.
And I'm like,
All right, signing off. And we want to say thank you guys for listening. Have a good one, everybody.